Hello, Ruth.
Hello, how are you?
And hello to anybody that's watching. This is LDTV live streaming. We're doing a bit of a birthday Q&A. If anyone doesn't know me, my name's Dean Freeman. I'm the director of Long Division Festival. And joining me to start with is Ruth. First question for you, Ruth. What is your Long Division job? Do we know?
Ooh, good question. So I was having a look back today, and I think I joined Long Division in 2013, but I think you probably know this better than me, Dean.
No.
And many things over the years, but ultimately, I am the person that gives you a wristband every year. That's the best way to put it.
There's definitely a lot more to it than that. You've pretty much done everything, haven't you? Though you've always been there doing, you've done a bit of the marketing and the box office and everything. So yeah, I thought you'd been here longer actually than 2013. But you're wrong. I've no memory at all of anything past last week. So I'll take your word for it if that's the case.
The best way to remember it is the last year at the Hop. That's the way that I remember it. So the second year was the year that we moved into uni.
Yes, okay, that does make sense. Okay, I believe you. Nice one, lovely. So, anyone watching? Well, basically, there's going to be a few of us on here over the next hour. Not just me and Ruth, but a few of the guests are going to pop in. We're going to have a chat and try and reminisce and actually try and remember what we've done over the last 10 years. But we're also very happy to answer any questions that you might have. You can comment. If you're watching this through YouTube or Facebook, you can comment on there, and someone, the technical team, it's not me, someone out there is going to magically make things appear on the screen. It could be anything. Or you could tweet with hashtag LDTV. So they'll be looking for the questions and grabbing a few bits and pieces off there. This whole LDTV thing it should have been the 10th Long Division Festival this weekend. So we kind of consider this our birthday. So yeah, because we can't all be together, we thought we'd do it online. So here we are. I'm going to ask you a question first, Ruth, if that's okay.
Okay.
What cake have you got?
Oh, what cake have I got? I've got a chocolate mini muffin here, and if
Nice.
I've got a candle, I've ran out and got some candles because it felt like it was a real occasion. But I'm waiting to light it. It's the moment.
Okay.
What about you?
I lit my candle earlier, but it was a Victoria sponge there. I went classic. The little bakery near me, Sainsbury's, only had a Victoria sponge or a chocolate cake. So I went for the classic, and I'll eat that at an opportune moment. That's the kind of level of excitement and questioning that we're going to try and achieve over the next hour. So yeah, this is going to be fun. So if this was Long Division Festival, Ruth, if it was actually happening, like it's just after 5 o'clock, what would you be doing normally at this time?
It's weird. I think because we're doing all this online stuff, I've been thinking about this all day. Every hour, I'm like, oh, I would have been doing this. I would have been doing that. So I would be on the wristband exchange, which last year was in the marquee. Yeah, very much kind of running with some volunteers, kind of helping people get in. So normally we kind of have a big boost at the beginning of the day. So normally when we open at 12, we get a few queues going. And then we usually get a second wave of people towards the end of the day, kind of wanting to come for the headliners. So I would be expecting that to kick in anytime now.
It was pretty buzzing, wasn't it? Like last year down at the marquee, because we've had the wristband all over the place, like largely outside our control. But that was like really nice in there, wasn't it? It seemed to work really well.
Yeah, it was great. I mean, we had that amazing yellow carpet, which due to the sun and the heat was just even more warm. It felt. So yeah, I remember at the time we were like, "Should we go with the yellow carpet? Yeah, let's just do it." But it looks great on all the photos.
Yeah, yeah, it was great. I think the deal was that we kept the carpet, wasn't it? We didn't hire it. They were like, "You got to keep it afterwards." But did we get rid of it? I can't remember now. I wish we kept it.
Because there was a debate over, do we spend a lot of money storing this carpet? It was the question. I mean, it did look great afterwards. I don't think anyone would want that carpet.
It was a mess, but you just don't like to waste it, do you? Surely we could have made something out of it. Never mind.
Yeah, there we go.
Never mind.
What about you? What would you do at this time?
I think like 5 o'clock for me is like start to relax time. I generally have 5 o'clock in my head. Like obviously it's mad in the morning, and then I try and be with you at like 12, half 11, 12 when doors open, and that's a busy bit. Then the stuff that goes wrong is always in the first few hours. It's like when venues open and they're behind, a band's not turned up or the PA's broken. So that's generally like 12 till 3. And then then I start trying to watch a song or two. And then by 5, usually it's like where my kind of troubleshooting stuff, if it's going well, I don't need to really do anything then. So yeah, I probably start thinking about getting something to eat, and then maybe watching some bands. The last few years, because this was the thing, wasn't it? For like the first 6 years, I don't think I watched more than a song by a single band. But the last couple of years, I've thankfully been able to see some stuff. So yeah, I think that's what I would be doing. It's very different these days. I think those early years, me and you probably were. Like, it was a lot more dashing around. I seem to remember dashing like up and down stairs in Unity, or just like venue to venue. Like we've run out of wristbands, or Dean's left them in the library or whatever. I don't know. It was quite hectic, wasn't it? But we're a little bit more organised these days.
Yeah, we did have a habit of picking venues that didn't have electricity as well. So that was
Yeah. Oh, we've been joined by our first guest. Hello, it's Alan Raw. How are you doing?
Hello, I'm all right. Lovely to see you.
Yeah. Nice to see you. It's been a while. How are you doing?
Good. Glad I'm not presenting a BBC Introducing stage for you in the rain.
Oh yeah, well this is it. This is Providence, isn't it, that the festival's not happening? But yeah, anyone who doesn't know Alan, for many years presented the BBC Introducing show over in West Yorkshire. So well, I was trying to think. I'd have no idea when I first came on the show, but then over the years we started doing stages at Long Division and ended up working together loads, didn't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I had some great bands on that stage, including yourself, of course, sounding amazing. Like the love child of Pavarotti and Cher. It was wonderful.
That's the best review I've ever had. Thanks for that.
Yeah, great voice. Rocky, love it.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah, so yeah, I got the much coveted 11:30 slot, didn't I? Because another band dropped out, so I stepped in to do that. And it was raining then, but it was still good.
We always wanted you, really. It was always meant to be you. We did the whole of the band dropping out thing to make you feel better.
Thank you, Alan. I was thinking back to I think, like, I don't know what you think. I think maybe the best thing that we did. Well, the outdoor stages were awesome, but I think it was 2015 or 16 when we were at Unity Works and we did you did the full 2-hour filmed, broadcasted stream. That was pretty awesome.
That was really good, yeah. I enjoyed every bit of that. It was a bit scary because I don't do TV normally, and got a great face for radio, as you can see. So I had to bite the bullet and do telly, but it was a lot of fun, and it was great to give so many acts that much exposure in that building, which was awesome.
Was that the year? That was Ash headlining year, Alan?
I think it was. Yeah, might have been.
Could have been. I wasn't very interested in the headliners, although I love your headliners. That's great that you have them to drag your crowd in, but I'm much more interested in the sort of unsigned, under the radar kind of acts that you have always championed. So those were the ones I was watching.
Definitely. Cool. How's things over Humberside way anyway?
Well, I'm in the studio now and getting ready to do my show. I do a 4-hour on a Saturday night now here from Humberside for the time being for lockdown, because a lot of the introducing shows aren't on the air at the moment. They will be back, but most of them are off. And to be able to be allowed to still do my 2 hours, I had to take on the full shift of 4 hours and do that. So I've been torturing the public with 2 hours of my own record collection before introducing every week for about 11 weeks. And I've still got plenty more to go at. But if you can imagine, I would obviously play all the best ones in the first week. And we're on week 11. So it's going to be an interesting 2 hours for the listeners this evening.
Is there any... We had a couple of... a few Hull bands lined up this year, actually. We had Fonda 500, long-standing legends. Bunker Pop were going to play. Low Hummer.
Oh, they're brilliant.
We're doing so good now. Any
Great
other
choice.
bands that we should be checking out?
Yeah, actually, Let Man Loose. Have you had them on?
Yes, I think we did. Yeah, I think we did. Yeah.
So I just got their new album earlier today. I don't know if you can see that, but that's the new album. It's just being released. I'm going to be playing it for the first time tonight. It's quality, bit of vinyl. They left it in a place for me to pick up earlier this evening, so very happy to have that. But they're a great band.
Awesome, that's fantastic. Well, I know you're really busy, Alan, and you've got your show to get ready for. But thank you for popping by, and thanks for your support over the years. Because I think for like a festival of our size, to kind of connect with the BBC like we did with you originally, and we continue to do with Emily and Shell, is like it's massively important to us, big time.
Yeah, well, it was a big deal for me to obviously give up the other show. I waited until the 10th anniversary show to stop doing it, but I did want to focus more here on Humberside, on the place that I actually am living in, and because there's so much going on here, or there was until obviously lockdown. But I think that actually there hasn't been that much of a dip in the amount of music that's been coming into the uploader, so I'm very grateful to everyone who's sending it in. And as far as I know, with Shell and Emily, it's the same there as well. So well done to all the artists, anybody who's listening who's still making music at home. It's amazing that there's been no dip at all. The quality is brilliant. So thanks for a chance to say that.
Brilliant, thank you, and we'll take care, and I hope to see you soon in real life.
Yeah, you have a good time. Enjoy your cake.
Okay, cheers, mate. Bye. Lovely. Oh, that was nice. That was nice to see Alan there. Yeah.
I do remember that year when he was doing the live stream and just kind of running around the building with craziness. But it was really exciting. There was a real buzz about it.
It was cool because the BBC stuff's always exciting, the broadcast, but usually it's a fairly simple setup that they had. But they took over this whole massive conference room, and they had it was proper TV cameras and everything, and it was like wow, that's like they've really gone to town on that. It was great. I think the video is still out on YouTube somewhere, and it's just like a wicked document because they interviewed loads of Wakefield. They interviewed Rob D from Philophobia, and Pisky Sits are on there, and loads of stuff. So it's a really cool document of that year, really. And actually, that's the thing, Ruth, because before you came along, those first 2 years, we weren't very good at documenting stuff. So those early years are difficult for me to remember. We've got a question.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Who or how do you choose the bands? Well, yeah, I guess me. I guess I pick some of them. It's changed over the years, really. I think the early years was, what's happening in Wakefield. There was so many local bands. That's why the festival started in the first place, was to kind of champion those local bands. And then over time, we've tried kind of different application processes, and I've written articles before about how to get on at festivals. With the long division lineup as it is now, the top kind of third is they've got to sell the tickets. The middle third are your kind of emerging acts who are kind of already touring, and that bottom third is for more kind of grassroots stuff. The last couple of years, our team member Andrew Whitaker has really led on the application process. So I know a lot of festivals have a formal application process, but don't necessarily look through them. Andy, who he's a crazy guy. He looks through every single one, and he's got a grading, color-coded system. We had over 1,000 this year, and he really listens to everything, and we break them down. We work with some of our Patreon patrons to offer suggestions on what they would like to see there. We work with people like BBC Introduce, and they curate stuff. We work with other kind of third parties like Yorkshire Music Forum. So sorry to go on here a bit, Ruth. My kind of take on it is that certainly the last couple of years now I've got a young family. I can't get out to gigs as much. So, I personally don't have my finger on the pulse as much if I ever did. But we work with different organisations to do that. So, the Yorkshire Music Forum in particular, that's a group made up of music leads who come play with me and other partners like Higher Rhythm who work in different cities around West Yorkshire. So they're kind of helping us curate like that really good stuff. So that it's a really mixed bag. But I guess the starting point is that we always do it. It's just the dream hit list of who we'd like to see, and we have kind of conversations, don't we, Ruth, as a team, because there's always a thing like, do you go? It's like almost like with your heart or with your head sometimes, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. And I think as a group as well, we all have very different music tastes. So for some people, we go, oh yeah, no, well, I'd come for that band, and then someone else will be like, oh, I don't know anything about that band, I'd come for this band. So I think it's really good that we have those debates. But something else that's worth mentioning as well is that something that we've also, well, Dean, I know you've been trying to work on a lot, is making sure that we have a variety in the lineup as well. So making sure that we have the right balance of female, male artists is something that we're always looking for, to make sure that, because we can always do better there, and I think everyone can always do better there as well. So they're the things that we look out for as well, to make sure that we have the balance right. So yeah,
absolutely.
Paul's here as well.
Wow. We've got another guest joining us. Hi, Paul.
Hi, how's it going?
Yeah, it's going good, mate. How are you?
Yeah, all right, thank you. Yeah, I've been just putting my Long Division T-shirt on the wall.
Why are you wearing it?
Well, it was a bit. To be honest, it's not clean, so that's why.
Okay.
Is that a year one t-shirt?
Pardon?
Is that a year one t-shirt?
Yeah, and it was year one, so I thought it'd be good to get my year one T-shirt out and proudly display it. Yeah, 10 years.
Before we went on air, me and Ruth I predicted that you'd have that T-shirt on, because I've got 2015, Ruth's got 16. I'm like, Paul will go original 2011 for sure, and you did.
Yeah, I did. I thought I think it's my favourite one. But I don't know if that's a little bit of nostalgia for the kind of first year and things like that. But I liked the block letters and that. So
sweet. Do you want to introduce yourself, Paul? Actually, for people who may be wondering, who's this guy?
Yeah, I'm Paul. I've been involved with Long Division from the first year, in one way or another. Childhood friend of Dean, currently sitting on the board now, and leading and running the education work that we're starting to branch out into, and perhaps we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, it's 10 years. It's, in some ways it seems like not that long, because you kind of always in a cycle of doing the festival, but then that first year seems a long time ago as well. So I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, yeah, I suppose like it's our 10th festival. It's not 10 years, pedants might say, because like, the first one was in 2011. But actually, it was the 10th festival this year. But started thinking about it 10 years ago, like the planning. I remember that summer of 2010. That's when the idea started. So I guess it's 10 years since then.
Yeah.
But I don't want to preempt any questions that we might get. But I guess an obvious one we might as well talk about is maybe our kind of most memorable, or most the kind of our favourite kind of performances over the years. I don't know if you've got anything, Ruth, that you want to kind of reminisce about.
Well, we were just debating this, and I was saying there's a real difference between your favourite bands playing Long Division, which is always great because you're bringing your favourite band to Wakefield, or a band that you previously didn't know about, but the crowd and the atmosphere and the buzz at Long Division like really kind of made it a highlight. So in terms of top ones, like I have to be honest with you, the Cribs at Unity is just... I know it's the obvious one, but it was the culmination of us like working in that new venue to get it open, and when it was full and you saw people queuing down the street, that was just something really special. But also not to forget the under 18s gig that happened that afternoon as well, with like 14-year-olds just having the best time. That was really good as well. And then, one of the other ones I have is British Sea Power, because they are one of my favourite bands. So to bring them to Wakefield was great, but also to have the opportunity to go around parks in Wakefield picking bits of branches and trees for the gig that evening. I remember. I actually got this mug here that Alan then gave me for saying thank you for helping them, which is something that I still keep and cherish. So that's one of my greatest Long Division memories and performances. So yeah.
Awesome. What about you, Paul?
Was that one of the things you did, Ruth, collecting branches and twigs and
Yeah, and then he just let me take whatever British Sea Power merchandise I desired. So I took a mug and I took a bag. I could have taken the fudge, but I figured that wouldn't have lasted too long. So.
That is great. I was thinking we might talk about this later, but I was thinking about all the different jobs that everybody's done over the years, and having to kind of I'll do that, and running off to sort it or whatever. It's similar answers, I suppose. You kind of what's your reason for having a favourite Long Division experience? I think like that. I'm trying not to speak about the first year every time I answer a question, but that getting Emmy the Great there in that first year was just really memorable, because it kind of it kind of showed that you could just get somebody to come and play your hometown that you'd liked just by asking them. I never really thought about that before. You were like, oh, I'll wait while they come to Leeds, or I'll wait while they play Sheffield. And then it were almost like a light bulb, well, why don't we just ask them and book them ourselves? And you'd been listening to somebody on MySpace, and then the next minute they were there in front of you and playing Wakefield Cathedral. And it was a lovely album she was touring at the time, and I kind of got to meet her, which was really nice for me, and I was running that venue, so I guess it's loads of one of my favourite bands, and it sticks in my memory. And it was the first year, and I think it sounded really beautiful in there as well. So that's kind of definitely something that stands out for me. That and the car park kind of gig with Too Many Teas, because that's like the other end, if you like. They're not that they're particularly not very low down the bill nowadays, but they're not they're not our headliners perhaps. And that just really sums up the other side of the festival. That proper fun. It's a day out with your mates, and that a bit of DIY. They run out of time. We go out in the car park and do the gig out there, and the sun was shining, and that was just great. Really nice.
I think maybe I forget what it was like in that first year, like you've just been saying, Paul. There was only the Hop back then. 100. Was that 150 cap? 150 cap. You didn't have any bands coming through. Like that first year, we had The Wedding Present, and that was really big. It's changed over the years for the better. It's got Warehouse 23 and other spaces, but it was just really new that first year. So I think I probably forget what we kind of did in those early years and what kind of difference it made. So that's good. I mean, you mentioned the Cathedral. I think one of my most memorable is Billy Bragg. But kind of like what you were saying, Ruth, I kind of really like that from a promoter point of view, I would say. So, I loved how we made the Cathedral look. I loved we set it up. It looked beautiful, working with Jolly Boys to get the bar up and running, setting up the green room in the crypt. And, Billy was, really buzzing to be there. He was really nice. I had a lovely chat with him. And it was fantastic. I like Billy Bragg. It's not my absolute favourite music, but from being a sense of pride, it was that was a wicked show. Whereas for me, maybe one of the most fun I've had was Asian Dub Foundation, because I love them, and to get them in Wakey, and me and Paul just danced around for an hour. It's can't believe they're in Wakey, that was just awesome as well. So there's different ways to enjoy things. We do have a question. Who is the one band in the last 10 years that you very nearly booked but didn't for whatever reason? Oh, I don't know.
Let you have this one, Dean.
you guys might remember some occurrences. I most recent one is Go-Go Penguin, who I think that just absolutely fantastic. I think it was 2019. We had them booked, but then one of the band members' wives was due to give birth the weekend of the festival, so we had to rearrange that. And then I think they were going to be playing this year, but then we were double booked at the theatre, so we couldn't have them there. So there wasn't a piano in Wakefield, and they needed a piano. And all these things go on with bands like year after year, where you think you've got them and you don't. I do hope we get Go-Go Penguin back. They're fantastic. I absolutely love them. I don't know if anyone's Arab Strap, like one of my all-time favourite bands. I got early word when they were reforming a few years ago. I was like, I'm ahead of the curve. I've got like an inside track on this one. But my inside information didn't help me secure a booking, unfortunately. We've had Aidan and Malcolm separately, but I've not got Arab Strap yet. Do you guys remember any others that kind of slipped through our fingers? I'm not sure, really.
Sometimes not. You're at the sharp end with the booking and that. I'm there for the fun bit, like the brainstorm. And let's try this and try that. So, could answer like, who would you like to play? But when it gets down to the nitty gritty of kind of booking, you're doing that, aren't you? So not always privy to some of the near misses and stuff.
Yes, but there was.
By things, there are bands that crop up on our list year after year that for some reason just don't work out. Like they're already playing another festival and they can't do Wakefield, or they're out of the country on that day. So there's usually probably a circulation of 5 that are still on our list. Like
Yeah, that's true actually, and it's funny because we'll be like maybe like one year we'll really want a band and they're just not active, but we've already declared our interest. But then suddenly an album will come out and they'll be playing festivals 5 times the size of us, and we can't even have that conversation. And so, we can only work with bands at kind of at a certain level, I think. I just remembered actually there was Thurston Moore as well, so he was booked for Long Division 2017. Which would be one of my all-time favourite bookings. I remember he said in NME, because I think one of the members of the Cribs did a piece in the NME where they interviewed people, and they interviewed Thurston Moore, and he like threatened to come rock Wakefield like at some point in the future. And so I was like, dear Thurston Moore's agent, could he come and rock Wakefield? And it was sorted, but that was the year the festival didn't happen when we went on hiatus. So that's a shame, actually, because I would have looked. That would be a dream booking for me. Yeah. But yeah, I don't.
On the list. Thurston's always on the list.
Yeah, there is some that are always on the list, but the thing is, like, although a festival lineup looks pretty big, there's not that much space on there for bands, and actually when you're booking, if you get a certain headliner, like something that we've tried to do is that maybe we've got a slightly more populist kind of headliner, and then something a little bit more arty or whatever. We try and balance it a little bit so it's not just one thing. So if you get one artist confirmed in one of those slots, it kind of dictates the rest of the lineup. So yeah, I'd like to go back to the first year's spreadsheet, if it exists anywhere, and just look at what those bands were. And I bet, like Ruth says, there's some that just keep cropping up like year after year. But we'll get through them eventually if we keep going.
I always suggest Corner Shop every year, and till for probably and then then this year they kind of said that they weren't doing any live shows anymore. So I don't know what my suggestions are going to be next year now.
Literally every meeting, that's all you pipe up with, isn't it? Well, what about Corner Shop?
I think they'd be really great. Really great.
I'd love to have Corner Shop, but we missed the boat, unfortunately.
Missed the
boat.
Yeah, well, is there any kind of big moments for you guys that don't involve bands? Anything that kind of springs to mind?
I have a left field one I wrote down as one of my highlights, which was, and I think all three of us were there for it at one time or another, was the marquee last year on Sunday afternoon with the band that were dressed like foxes.
Right.
I've forgotten what their name was.
Which one, sorry?
The band in the marquee for the children. So it was the children's band.
With the fox one.
The fox band.
Yeah.
Biscuit Badgers.
Biscuit Badgers, there we go. It was Biscuit Badgers. And they were dressed as foxes, and it was just marquee full of under 10s having the best time. And I remember Tony Wade had been teaching children how to make their own musical instruments all weekend. And that's all you could hear over the music was just all these kids blowing these instruments that they made. And that was one of my highlights, because I know we've done a lot of children's work over the years, but last year on that Sunday afternoon, it just felt like there was just families having a great time who probably didn't even know what Long Division was, that walked into a marquee and just enjoyed all these great activities. And that was one of my highlights, definitely.
Yeah, definitely. That was a big success from last year for me. And if this year had happened, we were massively going to expand on that, really. And we part of our Arts Council funding was to really do more, because I think and that's something that's changed over 10 years. Like 10 years ago, the idea of having a kid was like so far from my consciousness, but now I've got a young kid, and I totally understand that need to do stuff, but that's accessible. Like we're developing what we do, because there's loads of people in their 30s with kids who still want to go see music and still be part of something like Long Division. So I think we've been heading in the right direction there. We have got another question. If you could choose only 8 venues, what would they be? So what's our kind of top venues that we've enjoyed using over the years?
Cathedral.
Yeah. Which one?
Cathedral.
Yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? Yeah. And it kind of just like, just in the middle of Wakefield, represents Wakefield a little bit, doesn't it? Like, it's quite symbolic. It's really, really beautiful in there. It sounds amazing, which is obviously helps at a music festival. So definitely the Cathedral. Let's have a think.
I really like Westcott Chapel. The lineup we had there for this year was, I think it's mainly been a free access venue, but this year it was one of the paid ones, and it would have Roddy Woomble in there, Beans on Toast, and it was like a really good lineup. And I think it's so nice in there. Just it's a really peaceful space to kind of sit down. I think that's really good, and I really enjoy using that. I guess the theatre's like very popular. People always give really good feedback on the theatre. Again, don't know, is it just because people like to sit down on an all-dayer? Is the ones with seats the best ones? Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
It's a beautiful space, isn't it, again? And I really liked it when we used the old library that year, and it was in like a transition, wasn't it? And it just felt a bit edgy or something, didn't it? You reusing it. I think did you put your moped in the, was there a motorbike in there?
Yeah, I was riding around in my moped in there, yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of just felt like, again, it epitomised the festival a little bit, where we were looking for those, Wakefield's not got that, specific music venue, exclusive music venue, if you like. So we're looking for places and popping up here and popping up there and I liked it. It was kind of almost in the round as well. You kind of almost went all the way around the stage. So yeah, it felt a bit edgy, like in the library. It was good.
I liked to get some Wawa as well, because I know they're not obviously Wawa record shop, and I have to admit I've always been on the wristband exchange, so I've missed the impromptu gigs that have happened there, but I've seen the videos and it looks great. When Bragg did that afternoon show down there and it was full, and was it Eddie Argos did it last year? I went down there. I think it's such a cool atmosphere to see that absolutely packed, and like those really intimate shows are great in there.
Yeah, definitely. I think I did really like the library one that year. It was so big. It was like a dream venue. There's so many rooms and spaces. We had Sound It Out Records from Stockton, ran a record stall in there, which was awesome. And my kind of memory of that, there was the little room towards the back where I was using it as my kind of makeshift office, but it was so disorganized. I had wads of cash stashed everywhere in this room to pay bands, and I was dashing in and out. And I remember, like, about 3 months later, in my rucksack, there was like a secret pocket, and I looked, and there was like 200 quid in there. And I was like, I wonder what I should have spent that on. It was so crazy in those early years. We're just like working out of an abandoned room, and there was Lush stuff everywhere, because Lush always give us loads of like goodie bags. There's like 100 Lush bags spread around. It was like loads of riders, loads of quavers everywhere. It was like proper bonkers. It was really good. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I like the fact that we have different venues every year. It makes my job more difficult, unquestionably, but it keeps it fresh. I think as someone attending LD, I'd like that. Mechanics is great. That's a really nice space as well. That's just like people. I don't think the general public generally go in something like the Mechanics, and it's like I'm glad that we get them in there because it's great. It's beautiful, beautiful big staircase, interesting place to watch a gig, and I think what we do is we try and change negatives into positives, don't we? It's a lot of what we do. So like the challenges of Wakefield not having spaces, well, let's find somewhere interesting and kind of make it work. The DIY thing we started doing in it, so long may that continue.
I think the Orangery as well is another one of those.
Oh yeah.
Now currently empty. But something that I really liked about that is, for some reason, every year Long Division gets great weather most times. And the thing that I remember about the Orangery is you had all that grass and the outdoor stage. So if it was great weather, you could just sit out and watch some bands, and that was really fab as well.
Yeah, we lack that in Wakefield. We lack kind of green spaces and open spaces. So yeah, that was really cool, the Orangery, and the precinct stages were good for that as well. Just just doing the best we can with the city, I think. I think we've got another guest who might be lined up soon, so we might have to say bye to Ruth for a bit, but we might see you again soon, Ruth.
I'll
Don't
see
go far.
you guys. All right, bye.
Yeah.
Oh, we've got another guest.
Yeah, you've got a special guest arriving soon. Do you know who it is?
I should do, shouldn't I? If I've read the notes properly.
Well, be a surprise when they arrive.
Is there a venue that you've not been able to use that you wanted to?
I honestly don't think there's any spaces we've not used just through necessity.
That you've not plundered.
No, I mean there was that year we set up a stage just in a alleyway but underneath the hotel next to Velvet. It was just like it was weird. but we did it. Like it kind of worked, I guess. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, like that's a concern and about going forward, really. Like I do wonder what venues and what spaces will still exist in Wakey. It might be the case that we're using a lot more abandoned spaces going forward if business is sadly shut and stuff. So it's going to be a challenge, but we're experienced in dealing with it, so it should be all right, I guess. Hello, Adam. How you doing?
Hi. I'm good, thanks. Okay? Yeah, I'm good. I'm quite close. Look at this. I can't move back. I've got a wall behind me.
How are you doing, Adam? You okay?
I'm good. Yeah. Just been sat here listening to you guys on YouTube. I've turned that off now because there's a delay, so I'll stick with this window now.
Cool. Well, do you want to introduce yourself, Adam?
Hi, I'm Adam. Adam Heywood, copy, paste, repeat, sometimes I'm known as. I've written some notes. I started, in 2011, and I've just checked. I've got like a crazy amount of folders and files, and I was just like looking through them all, trying to figure out actually what I've done over these years. But I did find one that was like, well, I don't know if this is public knowledge, but actually it wasn't called Long Division first. So there is one file of the old logo, which is October the 26th, 2011, which is mental that it's that long ago. But so I think we probably talked about stuff the summer, like you've talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Actually getting down to work was the autumn, winter time, ready for the following year, I guess. So 2010, sorry, not 2011. Yeah, so the year was 2011. That was the logo. So yeah, it was originally called Quiet Violence. Do you remember that?
I do remember that. Yeah, I do remember that. I think so. I think that Quiet Violence is the name of an incredibly obscure Arab Strap EP, and at that time in my life, I was naming all my projects after Arab Strap releases or songs. So that seemed a natural choice. But then I remember one of my first meetings with Ossip Brewery, who we worked on the first couple of years with. I was like, guys, going to do this festival. It's called Quiet Violence. And it was like, the police will not like that. They will not like that. We need to change that name. We can't have that plastered all around Wakey City Centre. So I think we went back to the drawing board, didn't we, after that?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I thought that was the origins of the Long Division name as well. But is that a different band, or? I'm sure you've been through this already.
I think that I fired a few suggestions to you. I think one of them was something like Soviet fiction or something like that. I've no idea, but I remember saying something, and you were just like, that's absolutely terrible. Long Division's the least bad out of these names, so I think we should go with that one.
Yeah, I don't remember that bit, but I probably blanked that bit out. To be fair, that's probably why. But yeah, I always thought I had Origins in a song name or an album name, but maybe that was Quiet Violence, and I've mixed it up.
I think Long Division. I don't know where it came from and originally, but I think I sense checked it, and I was like, oh, there's an album by Low called Long Division, and I think there's an album called by Fugazi as well called Long Division. So I was like, it must be a cool 2 words for those bands to have used it. Let's use that, and then maybe I can email them one day and say, hey, we've named a festival after you. Will you come play? I've not tried that on Low yet. They're like my dream band to book, but I couldn't lie to them. I didn't name it after their album, but their album like cemented it, I think. So that's okay.
I haven't double checked this, but do Radiohead have a song called Long Division?
I don't think so. No.
Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not a Radiohead fan. Anyone who's going to complain at me, but I feel like I've typed that in and that's come up before. But I was going to say, if that was the logic behind naming after it, then Radiohead would be a pretty good shout for Wakefield. They'd be well up for it.
Loads of Radiohead fans in Wakefield, yeah, definitely. So like Adam, like you, so you kind of just reminded me of something. I'll come to this question in a sec. So I can't remember how Long Division like started, but what you've just said there about October 2010, that makes sense to me. I think you must have been the first person I spoke to about it, because we were doing the fanzine Rhubarb Bomb together at the time. And I imagine... Oh, there you go. Wicked. Yeah, Marcus Griff, that was a good one. I imagine I must have come to you at some point and said, should we do a festival? But I can't remember that conversation. I don't know if you can remember, Paul, if like when it became a thing that we spoke about.
I remember you were calling it Quiet Violence when it came to me, and I was a bit like, ooh, that's a strange word to like include, and you'd drafted up some letters that you were sending off to bands and things like that, and you were saying you were going to go for it, and would I help? And I said, oh yeah, definitely. Not sure about Quiet Violence, like. I used to tell people that it was called Long Division because it was really hard to do, and you had to do loads of, and you had loads of spreadsheets all the time when you were organising it.
Yeah, I think that's my go-to line. That's what I say. But yeah, do you remember anything about how it started, Adam? Those first conversations.
Well, I've been thinking about this obviously leading up to today, and I don't. It's an awkward description, but I remember you sitting on my bed while we were talking about it. But it's only because I was living in shared accommodation, and my bedroom was my study and everything, so there was nowhere else to sit. It was totally innocent. Jane doesn't need to know. But yeah, it was essentially. I can't. It felt like you were a little bit like on with it already. It felt like it was sort of half real, and it was more to do with, hey, obviously with the connection with Rhubarb Bomb, and it was, are you willing to do this kind of thing? And yeah, I was well up for it at the time. Fairly, I mean, yeah, we are talking close to a decade now. I've been in the sort of creative industry for just a tiny bit longer, so I'm jumped at the idea of like a portfolio's worth of awesome music related type stuff, hence the fanzine as well, actually. So yeah, it was just oodles and oodles of files and ideas and all sorts of stuff. And obviously, to make my job a little bit harder, I'm a graphic designer, but I decided just to start illustrating just because I pretended that I could do that. And that became the plebs, which I don't know if most people know that they are called plebs, but they're really surreal. I've got a black and white printer, so my only reference is an old Rhubarb Bomb. We've got this guy, but he's in black and white. But yeah, it was just I just went, oh, it's an opportunity to do this, but also let's do this. I just threw everything at it. And every year, actually, that we worked on, or at least I was partly involved in, it was always, I mean, you were forever thinking, oh yeah, we've got a festival on, but let's also, do an album, and let's also do it. And it was that mentality that pushed it and pushed it and pushed it. It obviously pushed it a little bit too far in places. I remember some years being a bit like chaotic, but all the better for it sometimes with all the stuff that you've done over the years.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think I just tend to push people maybe too far sometimes. So of all the things, I'm glad that we're still friends, Adam, for having pushed you
still works out.
Many times. So thanks for sticking around. We've got a question here. Which of you was once described in the LD program as a time warp folk pop charmer? Now, that description doesn't fit you, Adam, and I'm not a fan of folk. I think this might be you, Paul.
I think it must have been me. Yeah, I time warp bit interests me. I mean, everybody knows I'm a folk pop charmer. Like, it goes without saying. But the time warp aspect is interesting. Who would have written that LD program description?
Ooh, I've got a feeling that looks like it was from one year where I think I only had 10 words to describe every band. So it looks like I'm trying to condense an idea as shortly as possible. So it might have been me. I mean, to be fair, so Paul performs as the Passing Fancy. You do have a song about Norman Wisdom. That's a pretty old reference. So I think the time warp thing is pretty fair.
Yeah, it's a bit skiffily. Some of the songs were a bit skiffily at that point, and using a harmonica and looking a bit. Yeah, I'll take that description. Actually, it's good. Yes, I think it was probably me. But then I went electric, didn't I? I went electric. So I wonder what the description would be now. You've got 10 words by the end of this chat, Dean, to come up with the new sound.
Maybe people tweet in your 6 or 5 word descriptions of Paul by the end of the show. Hashtag LDTV. Let's see if we can get something done. Save me one job for the next festival.
I wonder who sent that question. I wonder who sent that question in. There's no little name on that this time.
Anonymous.
So it's got to be anonymous, yeah.
No one wants to claim that. Adam, like the festivals you worked on, like me and you would spend loads of time working together, and then I wouldn't see you at the festival because you could just swan off and have a good time. Do you have like any good band or memories or anything great that you saw that particularly sticks in your mind?
Yeah, I was thinking of this when you guys were chatting with Ruth. To be honest, there was it was definitely a year that I didn't work on it, so I felt incredibly relaxed, which was quite nice. I mean, like you say, I don't actually do anything on the day, which is a pleasure, I suppose, a gift, but free tickets, which is nice. But it was a year where, are you allowed to swear on this, by the way?
Yeah, well, not too harsh. Do you need to? Oh, is it the name of the band?
Yeah, it is, yeah. I'll say that
right,
effing
right.
tank. I'd heard of them for years and had no idea, but I was actually stood in warehouse waiting for another band, and those guys were just on beforehand. And it was just this small moment of just like, it was that perfect Long Division thing where, a really good festival thing, which is Long Division, where you accidentally see someone that's brilliant. I was just like, oh, well, that's fantastic. These guys are just full on noise, just two guys, just weird time signatures and all that kind of. I got into like loads of different music after that point. But I can't remember. I think it was them. I'm sure there was another band in between that I wanted to see, and I'd forgotten them. And then I stuck around because I was right at the front for the fall, and I think that's the closest I've ever to like lost my hearing. I think I lost my hearing for partial hearing for like 24 hours. So a good experience. I'm not saying that was a bad thing, but Marquis Smith was just constantly fiddling with the all the volumes and all the different amps and stuff. That's just badass, isn't it? Like the guy's a legend. So I'm glad that small moment of like 2 or 3 bands is just pure Long Division for me. That's good.
Awesome. Before we let you go, Adam, we're going to get Ruth back in for the end. But I mean, for you and Paul, I guess. But we were just talking a little bit about how things changed over the 10 years. So, like, you were there at the very beginning, Adam, when I came to your, laid myself on your bed and said, I've got an idea to last year when you were on the board. Like, what's been the big changes since then? It's hard for me to kind of perceive it really because I'm so close to it, but you've dipped in and out. What's your kind of perspective on the change?
I just feel like it's strange. It feels like there's one aspect of it that hasn't changed at all. And by the way, that's a kind of a positive in that sense, which is it's still Dean Freeman trying his best to do something right for Wakefield. But like it's even when I had the big break in between, I could see that it was more venues, different venues, different people, genres, bands. And then, like I say, this expansion of like, let's also do this, let's also do that. Some stuff got reined in, some stuff got added. But I think, I guess our parallels, not only working on it, but obviously starting a family, there was the stuff that's happened in the last year. And actually even the year before that, which involves families a lot more. So it's just like, I don't know, it was like growing up. When I did the rebrand, I guess there's been a rebrand arguably every year at this point, but when I did the 18-19 rebrand, it was definitely like, hey, this is serious. This is real. Like people are looking forward to it. They want it to be the best thing ever. But they grew up with us, so they've got kids and stuff. So just everything that I got to do, an opportunity to basically revisit it after, again, I can't do the maths, but something like 5 years. And I go, this is quite serious. It's still a fun place. It's like quite a serious, thing that happens in Wakefield every year. Hence why I'm wearing this T-shirt, by the way. This is my favourite year. I actually wasn't wearing it about 20 minutes before the call, but I heard you guys chatting T-shirts, so I just ran off and got it on. But yeah, so it's just great just to see, like, essentially, it sounds cliche and a bit cheesy, but it's that kind of the meaning behind it. It's been there since day one, pretty much. But it's turned into this thing that has a board meeting like every 2 months. You know what I mean? That's just crazy. Like it makes you feel like a real adult. So that's quite nice. So yeah, man, it was good.
Awesome, man. Well, I wish we could chat more. Actually, it's flown by already. But thanks for dropping by, Adam. Like absolutely pivotal part of LD history. So thanks for everything, and we'll catch up soon as well. Take care.
Will do. Yeah. See you in a bit.
All right, thank you. See you later. Oh, yeah, that was nice. So, like, yeah, Adam was part of things for ages, but like so many people haven't got. It'd be like impossible to try and reference everybody who's like been involved in this and has contributed. So you can't really try, but I'm glad Adam could kind of drop by. What do you think, Paul, about what he was saying about those kind of changes over the years from your perspective? Because I guess you've been involved as my friend, like supporting me, and then actually part of it, and a board member and a performer, and so many different kind of views.
Yeah, similar. We started it in our 20s, and now we're in our 30s, and you kind of the festival has grown up a little bit, hasn't it? I suppose with us, and that first year, although it was a big undertaking and like organised well, and it was a proper solid festival that first year. We still in the morning. I'm there at 9 in the morning setting up a gig or something, or 10 in the morning setting up a gig, playing a gig, and then running up to the cathedral, and then running the venue at the cathedral, and then after that packing that down and going somewhere else, and keep seeing you walking across town with an amp on your shoulder or something, or Marcy like dragging a drum kit around or something, and and then now we've got a team of volunteers, and we have a board meeting every couple of months, and we run commissions, and it's not just music, we do artistic commissions, and we have an education arm to what we do now. It's really matured and evolved, but there is those, it does still feel like a festival that a bunch of mates are putting on as well. So I love the way it is now. It is great, like, because we've especially you, Dean, you really honed putting on an event over those years, and because you've done that, we can experiment with a poetry stage or a commission for this, or we can experiment with things now around the core festival which we've got. So I think that's how it's changed but remained the same in some ways.
Just like the fall, different but always the same. I think I think what you said about experimenting is true, because but I feel that's a bad instinct for me, and it's good to have the board and the team now, because I'll just get bored of a format and just be like, oh, let's just change everything, and let's just do something totally random. And that's just because, especially maybe in the middle years, it was something that was keeping me entertained, in the sense like it was my area to just try mad things, really. And I do like that sense of kind of experimenting a lot. But I think over the last couple of years, we've tried to just get a basic thing consistent, and not reinvent, not doing a rebrand every year like Adam was saying. The question that we've got from Matthew, hello Matthew, asking about Young Team is a good example, actually. So again, I don't really remember how these things come around. Like, I don't remember why we thought we should start doing an education I do know why we thought it was a good idea, but where that initially came from. But Young Team was an education program that we created last year, that me and Paul we wrote a curriculum basically and delivered it to some young people in Wakefield and got them a qualification. We think it's the only or the first like qualification in DIY events. But it was like mega DIY in how it was put together as well. And I mean, how satisfied it was great. I think it was really interesting to do.
Yeah, hello Matthew. Like, you kind of we'd have to ask Matthew and some of the others that were on it, like primarily, how satisfied they felt as well. But we loved it in the sense that we did it because it was a pilot. Could we do it? And we made it happen. So that's pleasing. I think we didn't know what we were selling people, if you like. Well, we not selling because it was free, but we didn't know what we were offering. So credit to all those young people that signed up and stuck it out, because we didn't know whether was it for musicians, was it for events organisers, was it for writers, was it for creatives. And the answer is, I think hopefully it could have been for everybody. But that's something we can hone. Just like the festival itself, we've done 1 year of Young Team, and 10 years, 10 festivals of long division. So hopefully, young team will hone and maybe figuring out exactly what it is.
I think earlier on the 2 o'clock show, there was a chat with Emily, and she said something really good. Emily from Bodies. She just talked about how Wakefield's really good at adapting and dealing with challenges, and I do think that's really true. And I think our experimentations, like the fact this thing we're doing like right now, I don't think we've ever live streamed anything ever before, but we're kind of just giving it a go. And this might maybe will become a TV show in the future. I don't know, but like I think that's part of the DIY thing that stuck with us, is that we'll just give something a go and see what sticks to an extent, but still try and do it with kind of quality and integrity, and not. I think hopefully that's what we tried to like instill in young team. It's like just give it a go. Like you just got to give it a try and see what happens, because you're in control of your own destiny. Then I think that's really important. We have got another question. I'll try and bring you in, Ruth, here. What artists are you currently loving? What artists are you currently loving that you would like to book for next year? Is there anyone on your list of that you've heard recently, Ruth?
I mean, you know me, Dean, I will suggest bands that we can't afford, or like why. So like my list is always like, oh, let's start with Hive, and so I was quite happy that the Futureheads came off this year, because they were a band that I was like that I'm really looking forward to seeing, and they're great, and it just reminds me of being like university and being into like having the best time and seeing like 5 gigs a week, and Futureheads were part of that. So I'm trying to think. Well, one on my list, because I know you asked us to prepare bands that you would love to see at Long Division. Belle and Sebastian. I would love to see Belle and Sebastian at Long Division, just because I think people that come to Long Division will probably like them, and they're just a band I've loved for a really long time. And then kind of like stuff that I've got into recently is my other half is playing the BC Camplight album to death, and I think that they would be a great fit for us as well. Yeah.
Awesome. You got any thoughts, Paul?
Shakademus and Pliers, I think, could be absolutely brilliant. Like, especially if it was sunny, and we'd have to like coincide with some sort of tour. Like, I don't think they'd come over just for that one gig. But if they were doing some sort of thing, I think that'd be brilliant. I always wanted Richmond Fontaine to play, but they kind of, and I think they would have done, and but they've kind of stopped now. But I won't be surprised if they do some more music in the future. So I'd love to get them as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's I'm so out of the booking zone at the moment, because we're in this weird situation where I booked this current festival 6 months ago, and it's not happening for another 6 months till November. So I'm not even in the mindset of thinking about 2021. So I feel a bit off the ball with that, to be honest. But we've got another question here. Most outrageous rider requests down the years. This is funny because it seemed in the early years, I don't know if we were just inexperienced, but in the early years it seemed like the riders were crazy. They're all kind of mad stuff on there. But like these days, it doesn't seem to. Bands are kind of letting themselves down by not asking for mad stuff. I remember one band asked for I think they asked for like a full Leeds United football kit or something. I can't remember. It was something stupid like that.
Then they get a football kit. They got a football kit from every town. So it was kind of the nearest town that had a football
think
team.
So. I think that was the logic of it, which I guess, I mean, surely no one's like doing that. Like maybe if they play Leeds and Reading, they can get a football kit. We're not doing that. That's mental.
Did you not get it for them?
No, just didn't get it. No one said no. It's mad. It's proper mad. What else was it? I think someone asked for like loads of pictures of Nicolas Cage, I think, in the dressing room. I can't remember who that was. That was a good ride. I think they wanted like copies of Readers' Wives and stuff as well. I think they were just taking a piss. That was quite good. But yeah, do you know what? Actually, this question's reminded me something I've forgotten about totally. In the early years, I think the first 2 years, we had like a dining room for the bands. I think it was in the courtroom in the town hall, and my mum was like, she just made loads of food, and we had loads like Ban Marie's and stuff, and like I think it was like Darwin D's and like David Gedge from Wedding Present, just like going down the line, getting like chili or curry from my mum or something. And it was like really, really surreal. But the band's like, this is great. This is really nice. But then we stopped doing it for some reason. I don't know why, but that was the band's liked that, I think.
I do associate it all with food. I do associate it with, where's the chili? Is the chili coming? Is the chili? Is the food coming? Is there a pizza? When's the pizza arriving? Have we got forks and knives for pizza and the chili? And like, there's a lot of that involved in Riders. That's mainly what I remember. A lot of food.
Yeah, that's good. The last couple of years, we've used Silver Spice in Wakefield, who've just made massive trays of different curries for the bands, which is awesome, because then you just like slope in, like after tea time, and there's a bit left, and you're like, yeah, great, I'll have that. Lovely. That's basically the only perks of putting on Long Division, I think.
Free curry.
We've got to 6 o'clock now, but I guess before we go, maybe we should talk about the future a little bit, or maybe where we're at now and what we're trying to do. Because it's like Adam said, it is funny. Like in the early days, it was so loose, but now we are a team, and we do meet, and we have like we have strategies almost, don't we? Like, you know, what we're going to do for maybe more than a few months at a time. So there's lots of exciting. Well, there would have been lots of exciting things if it wasn't for the current situation. But yeah, I mean, where are you guys at with what Long Division might want to do in the next couple of years? Because you know, we're more than a festival now, and we're trying to do stuff in the kind of in our local community and education we've talked about. But yeah, where are you guys at with what the future might hold? What do you think, Ruth?
I think, and I know we were talking about Young Team earlier, but I see it as more of us doing things like Young Team with you both of you two. And because I was just thinking about you talking about it earlier, and if I was 16, 17, like when I was 16, 17, I'm from Doncaster, I was running a fanzine myself and helping put on little music festivals. And I think if something like Young Team existed, then I would have been all over it. And I think it would have really given me a push, like who knows what would have happened if I kind of like put down that line. So I think that's a really exciting thing. And I also think it's something that nowhere, like you were saying, nowhere else does. I know Dear Shed do quite a bit of educational stuff, but not to kind of like for the older audience, and certainly not kind of year-long round like this was. So I think that was something really exciting. And I can say, like, as a team member and board member, that like the pride that you guys brought, like that Guardian article that was kind of like, look at all this exciting stuff we're doing, and it putting Wakefield on the map was really, really great. So I think doing more of that is something that all of us have talked about, and all of us have a real sense of kind of ownership over. And then obviously to keep the festival going, like I think I mean, I'm not going to lie, it's a lot of work. And I think all of us at one point over the year kind of go, oh gosh, this is a lot. But then every year it happens, and every year it's better than ever. And I think it would be really sad if that wasn't to continue, because there's nothing in Wakefield like it. So yeah, I think it's to kind of keep going onwards and upwards with that. And then finally, I think it's to like open out our offer. Like we were talking about, like doing more stuff for children and families, doing more free things in the city centre. There's like the year where we had the Beatles tribute act in the precinct, and it was just funny, and the ice cream man was there, and everyone was just having the best time. Like those collective experiences are like few and far between in the city, and I feel like so I feel like we need to keep them going where we can. So yeah, that's my bit for the future.
Paul?
I don't know what to say. I think that's it from Ruth. That was absolutely grand, isn't it? Like, it's I almost kind of take it for granted that the festival's going to be a good day, but that's got to be the core of what we do, is putting on good stuff. We've talked about doing things, not just events that aren't just in once a year. So like tonight, for example, has been forced, like, in a way it's been forced into that situation, but actually what a lovely format where we've got a bunch of artists playing 1 or 2 songs a piece, or it's a remote gig or something like that. So certainly, keeping the festival good and making it good once a year, doing some other events too, and not being perhaps too stuffy about them. Like the Beatles thing was brilliant, or the ice cream van, and looking at the kind of different events we can put on. And I'd love to. Young Team was just a little glimpse, I think, of what we could do. And just same as you, Ruth. Me and Dean went to school together, and got our guitars when we were 13 or something. And you practiced at home and stuff like that. And I don't know if a music festival came into my school when I was 13 and said, "Oh, we do a music festival, don't you know? And it's in your hometown." And I just wonder what that might have done for us. So I'd like to be that. Yeah, see what we can do with education and see where we can go with it. What about you, Dean?
Well, I agree, you guys. I think it's like it's not been passive in a way. Like I think we used to just put on a festival, which was great, and I think in the early days it was part of. There was loads of gigs at the Hop. Amazing, Marcy was putting some great stuff on at the Hop. It was part of a bigger picture music-wise, but a lot of the rest of it's kind of fallen away a little bit. And it felt like younger bands were finding their own way through. Philophobia brought on a lot of young bands in those early days, and all these things seemed quite natural. But I don't know, the last 10 years, for whatever reason, maybe it's coincidence that the Tories have been in power, who knows, but everything's kind of feels like it's withered away a lot. And instead of us being passive and just like, almost banging our heads against the wall saying, let's just do another festival because, things will get better if we just like do one big day a year. Instead, I think we need to try and take on the challenges in Wakefield best we can. One of them being engaging with young people. I just look, Matthew, who put the question in earlier, he was looking to put his first gig on before all this happened, and I was trying to help him and work with him. I'm absolutely buzzed to see him put his first gig on off the back of Young Team, and that's what we need to do more of. I just want to help other people do their own stuff. I don't like that Long Division is sometimes the only music voice in the room in Wakefield on these kind of. We've connected with big arts groups, and the arts scene in Wakefield's brilliant, really positive, work together well these days. It's really good. There needs to be other people around that table, and I think if the people that exist right now, we need to like help create them and use what we've got to do that. So that's what kind of excites me. And the challenge is doing that whilst keeping the festival that everyone loves going. So that's what we're trying to do. But who knows what's going to happen now? So I think we've just got to get through this year and see where we go from there, I guess.
We'll check in again in another 10 years and see if we've done those things.
We're still talking ourselves on this, discussing what we said, like a time capsule.
Yeah, well, funny enough, we were going to make a time capsule this year, weren't we? That's something we never announced. That was the plan. We were going to make it at the festival. Yeah. Maybe this is the new time capsule. Never mind. Let's wrap it up, guys. It's been really nice chatting to you. I know we've got a team meeting on Tuesday, so I'll see you again. But but it's been really nice to kind of chat through all these memories and stuff. So thanks to you guys, and thanks to Adam and Alan for joining us as well. Shout out to Carl as well and Never Know, who've been helping us put this together technologically. I could not have done this myself. A quick thing to say, 8 o'clock tonight for all the socials. We've got kind of the big show of the weekend, 2 hours of music, loads of great sessions on there, as Paul just mentioned. And finally, all the main episodes, but not this one. We're trying to raise money for various charities. The one tonight is for Wakefield Cares. If you're able to donate anything to them, that'd be awesome. But otherwise, thanks to anyone that's been watching, and thanks to you guys, and have a nice Long Division weekend. Bye. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.